we need to talk about life insurance. Term life insurance is cheap, good at what it does, and you probably need some. Whole life insurance is expensive and kind of a scam. In fact, there's 3 reasons why, and the last one's going to blow your mind. But to understand the difference between term life insurance and whole life insurance, we need to go back to ancient Rome and the burial clubs. Let's talk about money. There's a famous term in Latin, memento mori. It means, roughly translated, remember that you have to die. Now, the dying is not the hard part. The hard part is when you have financial obligations that need to be covered and you can't because, unfortunately, you passed away. Now, ideally, we'd all be self-sufficient and have enough money saved up to be able to handle whatever happens after we pass away. But sometimes the unthinkable happens and it's not at a convenient time. That's what insurance is for. Back in the day, they used to have burial clubs in Rome. Basically, you'd pay money to join this club, and then after you died, they'd promise you to take care of your burial costs and any of your surviving family members to kind of help them out financially. Luckily, we've come a long way since then, and we now have term life insurance, which is great. Term life insurance means that you and a company make a contract. You promise to pay them a certain amount per month for a set time period or term, get it, term life insurance, and they promise to, if you die during that term, to pay out an amount of money to you. So how does this work for the company? Let's model it out, shall we? Let's say our example person Anakin and 99 other people buy $100,000 of term life insurance from Naboo Life for a term of 10 years. That means if in the next 10 years they die, Naboo Life will pay their beneficiary $100,000. Now let's say they're all young and healthy, so the company charges them $10 a month. That means that over the course of the 10 years, Anakin will pay Naboo Life $10 a month times 12 months times 10 years equals $1,200. Now, dying is pretty rare, so in our example, only one person dies, named Qui-Gon Jinn. That means the company has to pay out $100,000. Now, since there were 100 people each who paid $1,200, that means Naboo Life has 100 times 1,200, $120,000 in the bank account. It pays out the $100,000 to Quinn's beneficiaries and still has $20,000 to run the company. So who needs life insurance? Well, if you have any unfilled financial obligations, you probably need life insurance. That includes mortgage payments, college education you want to provide for, a spouse you want to provide for, family members with permanent disabilities. You're going to need life insurance. Remember the general financial principle. We only buy insurance for things we can't buy again or replace right now. If you're independently wealthy, your house is paid off, you have all the money in the bank you need for education, supporting your spouse, you don't need insurance. You're self-insured. For everyone else, we have term life insurance. Now you might notice that I keep saying term life insurance. That's a very specific term because there's a ton of different types of life insurance, and term is really the only one you want to buy. Term life insurance is cheap, it does one thing extremely well, and it's just the best tool for the job. Unfortunately, a lot of life insurance salespeople or agents will try to sell you whole life insurance. They say it's better for building wealth or a tax strategy. Before I explain what whole life insurance is, I'm gonna come out very clearly. Don't buy whole life insurance. Of course, like everything, it's kind of complicated. There's a few areas where you might want to consider whole life insurance, but for 99.9% of people, don't buy it. It's a lousy investment disguised as insurance. Whole life insurance is not a good choice for 3 reasons, and the last one's going to kind of blow your mind. But first, what is whole life insurance? A life insurance policy that does not expire. You basically agree with the company to pay them a monthly amount every month for the rest of your life, and then they agree to pay you out upon your death. There's also a component where basically they invest money for you. So for example, if you pay $500 a month, they'll take 100 of that, put it in insurance, 400 of that, they'll invest it for you in an account which has sometimes guaranteed returns. You can also borrow against that. However, if you die before borrowing against all that money that you have saved up in your investment account, the company keeps that investment account and just pays out your death benefit. So here's 3 reasons why you should not buy whole life insurance. Reason number 1, it tries to do a lot of things and does them all poorly. Let me give you some life advice. Don't go to a pizza restaurant and order a burger. Don't try to invest with your life insurance. A life insurance policy isn't a money-making scheme. It's to provide peace and security if something unimaginable happens to you. We want to keep our investments and our life insurance very separate. Whole life insurance is a lifelong contract. It also has really high fees, both on the back end and the front end. Whole life insurance often earns you less than you could get in just the normal market. The insurance company keeps the entire amount of your investment account if you die. Whole life insurance is permanent, and oftentimes your need for insurance is not permanent, right? If you pay off the house, if you have money in the bank, you don't need insurance anymore. If you buy whole life insurance, you could be stuck paying a really high monthly fee locked into an account you don't really need. Whole life insurance also locks you in. Like the dwarves in the Mines of Moria in Lord of the Rings, you cannot get out unless you pay a really high surrender fee or some other contract fee. Really, the only thing whole life insurance does well is pay out an amount to your beneficiaries if you die. But guess what? There's something called term life insurance that does that better and cheaper. But how much cheaper is it, you ask? Well, that brings us to point number 2, why you don't want whole life insurance. It's incredibly expensive. Let's pull up a chart that compares a similar policy for whole life insurance and term life insurance. So for a $250,000 life insurance policy, at age 35, term life insurance would cost you $19.20, while whole life would cost you $517 a month. At age 55, it's even worse. Term life insurance will cost you $86.79 a month. Whole life insurance, $1,351 a month. It can be between 5 to 15 to even 27 times more expensive for the same coverage. But the salesman will say, it's an investment. Yes, we say, referring to point number 1, it's a bad investment. Even if you're in an advancing age with poor health, term life insurance is usually going to be cheaper than whole life insurance by a lot. So if whole life insurance is a bad investment, way more expensive, why does it get sold so much? Well, it brings us to point number 3. Reason number 3 you don't want whole life insurance, it's way more profitable for the insurance agents who are selling it, so therefore they're going to sell it a lot. Life insurance salesmen get commissions for every sale. Oftentimes it's 80 to 100% of the first year premiums. So for example, if you buy term life insurance for $20 a month for the first year, your insurance agent is going to get 20 times 12 or $240. Compare that to whole life insurance. Let's say you spend $520 on whole life insurance. 520 times 12 months, $6,240. It makes sense, right? Whole life insurance is up to 27 times more profitable for the insurance agents to sell. Therefore, they're going to sell it a lot more. So remember, if you have an unfilled financial commitment, you probably need some term life insurance. Get it while you're young. It's cheap. It's awesome. Now, as I said, there's a few instances where whole life insurance might be something you want to consider. If you're interested in those, drop a comment, let me know, and I'll make a video about those as well. Thanks for watching.